Alright everyone, welcome back to another episode of All the Mod 6. I hope everyone is doing great today. I know that I am. We're hopping right back into our game save here. Have done a bunch of stuff though in the meantime. All the stuff that we are doing off camera though, I do stream it over on Twitch. I do stream on Twitch on Mondays and Fridays. Our current schedule is 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But with the holidays, it's been kind of all over the place. We've had streams here or there. We had 2 streams in one day earlier in the week, or earlier this past week from when you're seeing this. So if you want to recap on those, highly recommend checking out my Twitch in the description down below. You can go over there, give me a follow, catch up on old videos, and get notified when I do go live next. So a great way to stay up to date with all the content that we are putting out there. But I still will recap just a little bit on what we have done thus far. So I believe we've already recapped. Obviously, you guys remember from a couple episodes ago, we got our storage system up and going. I walked you through in the last episode. We got a 16K storage disk up and going, which has been doing wonders for us with our storage capacity. Then other than that, in our last episode then, we actually went ahead, dove into the create mod, and had a whole heck of a lot of fun trying out mechanical energy. So we can come over to our windmill over here, and you can see we still have our mechanical crafters up and going over here. Haven't done anything with these, and I haven't really done anything else with the windmill as of right now. But I'm super happy with how this build went. I think it turned out great, and I really like the create mod. I really want to do more in the future with it, but unfortunately today we have higher priorities. So, but yep, that was in the last episode. We've also done a little bit of terraforming here. You might notice we kind of connected the waterways here. This was just a big open grass patch here. I wanted to kind of give this division here just to create a little bit more character to the landscape. So we'll have a bridge going across and then expand out even more as we see fit. We've obviously adjusted this as well. We have this cool new archway with a feral flare lantern. I hope I said that right. And a nice little bridgeway over a new stream that's coming down from our pond up here, which is pretty cool. Just adding some aesthetics, more lanterns, so on and so forth. The other thing that we have been working on, which you're going to have to check out Twitch for this one because we're going to keep it a secret for the time being, is over here. That's right, we got some secrets brewing over here in this old... It was a pre-generated like little temple well thing that was here. But yeah, I'll try to see if we can sneak over and I'll give you a little peek of what's down there. Oh, and that's about it. Yep. So again, if you watch over on Twitch, you'll get the full recap of what we've been doing down there and what the plans are for there as well. Now, the only other thing that we really have spent a decent amount of time on is trying to piece together a good power solution. So over here, we have our setup with our pulverizer, our redstone furnace to get our automated, way less laggy process of ore processing going here. We were using elemental craft before and it just caused so much lag. I just couldn't deal with it. So this is what we moved to. No lag, super efficient. The only thing is you have to provide it power. And that has been our extreme struggle this whole entire time. So we have those that need power. We have our Tinker's workbench, which needs power. We have our tools and our jetpack that need power. I did craft up a metallurgic infuser as well. This is pretty straightforward as well. Well, you can see a little glimpse of what we're getting into today. If I could spell here, there we go. So this is pretty straightforward to make. You just need some osmium, iron, redstone, and 2 furnaces. Osmium you can find out in the world. Pretty straightforward. But I got that up and going because I was making some items that required... Where are they at here? Where are they at? The infused alloys. Now, infused alloys are one of the starter items in Mechanism. So is the metallurgic infuser. All you got to do is put some redstone in here on the left column. You can see it fills up. And then you have to put in an iron ingot for this recipe specifically, and then feed it some power, and it'll give you an infused alloy. Now it is a 1-to-1, so if you put in 1 piece of redstone and 1 piece of iron, you will get the infused alloy together. So If you want to have that ratio perfect, that's how you can do it. It's very easy to put in way too much redstone on here. Maybe you grab a half stack, throw it in here, it fills it up way too much, and then you jump to a different crafting recipe, and it, let's say it doesn't require redstone. Maybe it requires diamonds, because there are ones that require diamonds, like this one right here requires diamonds. Well, the fluid item on the left-hand side does not commingle. So if you have redstone in there, you can't put diamond in there. So in order to clear that out, just a quick tip, hit this dump button right here. It'll dump it all out for you. It'll dump all that out. Now you do lose out on those items, so just be cautious of that. I would recommend trying to use them up rather than just dumping them, but if you're in a pinch, it's a great way to do it. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. So we need power. That's pretty much where we were going with this. So I went ahead and I crafted up a magmatic dynamo. Now this is from Thermo. Oh, I can't spell it all. There we go. This is from Thermal. It is pretty straightforward. We've seen this in previous versions of thermal expansion. It just uses lava to create power. You do need invar for it. For us, I went ahead and crafted up an alloy kiln to get this bad boy going because it's super convenient and very easy to make the alloy kiln. You can use like a induction smelter, but you have to have one of those at hand, or you need to make one up for it. But anyway, so we have our magmatic dynamo going. Holds 4 buckets of lava right off the bat and then produces 40 RF per tick, standard base machine. You can upgrade this. There is the book right here, the Thermalpedia, which is a book and a crescent hammer that will help you out if you're looking to know what exactly you can modify, add on, and so on and so forth to these dynamos and different machines. Anywho, so we set this up, needs lava. Well, we ran into the problem of actually being able to feed it lava. So I wanted to use a piping system. One of the easiest ones to get up and going is the one from Mechanism, the basic mechanical pipes, which I think I have some left over here. Show you really quick what the recipe for these bad boys are. Just some steel and a bucket. Really, really easy, as long as you have steel, obviously. But then you place these down, and then I'm using a basic fluid tank from Mechanism. Again, very easy to make. It's just some redstone and iron. Build this up with lava, but however, when you place these down, by default, it won't do anything. So if I grab one that's not configured, because I don't know if it unconfigures when you break it. I'll place this down. As you can see, it doesn't do anything. Before it was moving lava, and you could actually see it in the pipe. Well, this is where the tricky thing comes in, and this is, I think it's part of the new update to Mechanism. You actually need a configurator to configure the pipe to push the lava to whatever system you're using, or push the fluid to whatever system you're using. And this is not like the cheapest thing to get right off the bat. You do need to get a little bit into Mechanism. It's not anything crazy, but this is where those infused alloys come into play. A little bit of lapis, a little bit of wood stick there, and then more of the infused alloy gold and redstone to get the energy tablet. But you do need one of these going with power in order to configure it. Now I believe it's a shift right click, and you can see on the lower left hand side here we're getting some text popping up, so we changed it to push. So this would be pushing into the tank, but we want it to pull out, so we just do it one more time, and now it is pushing out of the tank and into our magmatic dynamo. So if you guys are getting into it, just a little tip there on how to do it. But ultimately, our power setup sucks. It is really bad. I have been behind on power for so long. I had to turn machines off. As you can see, we're barely getting enough in here. We're using this low voltage capacitor to send power over to our ME system over here, or our refined storage system, I should say, not ME system, our refined storage system, which needs a good amount of power as well. So we're just not getting enough of it, and it has been our crutch this whole time, just trying to put band-aids over a problem. That ends today, because we are getting into the POWAH mod. This is a great early game power production for this pack. And I'm really grateful to those of you in the community here that recommended that I check it out. There was actually a couple people who had. So again, very good way to get into power early in the game. There are other things that we will get into that generate a lot more power, but they're kind of, once you get to those items, there's no reason to go back to power. So anywho, so this is actually something that I had a pet peeve with when I started looking at things, because Thermo removed their energy storage cells, which sucked. However, this POWAH mod has them, which is awesome. And they're relatively straightforward to make. Along with that, there's different tiered ones. So very much like a mechanism tiered, where they have tiered machines, tiered power cells, so on and so forth. This one has it as well. So you start off with the basic one right here, or there's a starter, basic, you move into hardened, blazing, niotic, and then spirited. And then nitro. There's a nitro at the end, and then there's a creative one, which obviously, unless you're playing creative, you're not going to be utilizing that. There's also an ender cell and things like that, but we're not going to worry about them. There's also energy cables, which will be extremely useful as well. But we do have the universal cables, which should come into play pretty well. There's also a bunch of other things here, like miscellaneous crafting items, so on and so forth. But then there's also generators. There's a magmator. Hopefully I'm saying it right. There's a thermo generator. There's solar panels. Very easy way to get power right there. Obviously, only if it's daylight out. There are reactors. You could get some reactors up and going. And then I think that's like most of the items there. There might be a few other things that I'm kind of breezing over here. There are batteries, which are pretty nice because these can act as a I think they can act as a way, like a flux capacitor in a sense. So, anywho, let's go back over to our storage area. Let's sleep through the night here. Let me take a sip of coffee. There you go. All right. So we're going to start off getting crafting going around this. Now, the first thing that you're going to need a lot of is this dielectric paste, because pretty much everything in this mod is going to require it. Now, it's very easy to make, and I recommend it, highly recommend it, to make it on the first recipe. So coal, clay, and then lava, rather than blaze powder. Just because lava is way easier to get, and it does not consume the bucket. Sometimes it is a concern that the recipes will consume a bucket. This one does not. And you get 24 out of it, which is pretty nice. So, but I have already gone ahead. I crafted up a bunch of dielectric paste here because I knew that we would need it today. And I think what we're going to do is start off with a basic energy cell, the simplest of things here. We are going to need a couple components here. We are going to need dielectric rods, which do take iron bars. I luckily actually have some iron bars laying around for a different reason, different project. There are these ones. Oh, you have to craft. Ooh, okay. So there are different direction ones. Yeah, horizontal and then normal. And it looks like you can take a normal dielectric rod, put it in a crafting table and make normal ones, but I'm just going to make some horizontal ones. I have iron bars laying around, so I think that's a fair enough make right there. So we're going to get the casing that we need. We do need these basic tiny capacitors, which you take basic capacitors like so. We are going to need a block of redstone. I'll make a couple blocks of redstone just to have them on hand. Okay, I'm hitting every single wrong button here. So I'll make 8 of those. That should give us enough because then we just need to make this. We really only need 4 of them to get the basic cell up and going. And just like that, we have our energy cell. Now it does have an interface here, which is really nice to have. And I believe you have a way of charging and discharging items in here. So if you wanted to, I don't know, let's say put our flux bore in here, I think we could discharge it into it, or maybe it's only charging. Okay, it might only be charging. I thought there might be a way to transfer energy, like via a battery or a flux capacitor, and I could be wrong. Maybe it only works with batteries. We'll have to test it later. There's also ways you can direct the power as well. So a configuration for inputs and outputs over here on the side, and then a redstone toggle here. So if you wanted to ignore it, have it comply with redstone or off with redstone, like there's a whole bunch of different settings there. I typically just let it stay at the standard there. Now, out of curiosity, I do want to try it out. Rather than this low voltage capacitor being here, let's try putting in this energy cell. We are going to have to configure a few things here though, so we will worry about that in just a second. So we got to shift, put that to there, and then shift on this side and put that to there. Now let's take a peek here. It does look like it has 200 in it, but it's not getting any over there. Okay, so we have to figure out which way we are facing. So this is west, so we want west to be an output. Off, receive, extract, extract. We just want it to extract. And then what is this? North. We need north to be receive. So that should be receiving. I feel like we might actually be... Oh, nope, there we go. It is filling up, so this actually works perfectly in place of this low voltage capacitor. So definitely a good way to go there. We're going to want to get more of these up and going to store our power. So actually, let me go ahead. I'm going to craft up one more of them and then move on to our next item, which will actually be power generation. Alright guys, so I did a little bit of work and we are ready to keep moving forward. So I did skip over something that I think is very important for you guys to know as well, that there is a book for this mod, which can definitely be useful. So it's just called Manual, and then in parentheses POWAH. It's from the POWAH mod, obviously. And all it takes is the dielectric paste and a book, and just like that, you can craft it up. Now this will go into details on all the different things here. So you have your generators, storage and transfers, functional blocks, items, and materials. So these are all the different generators you have. We did run through them earlier. So the fernator, the magmator, thermo generator, the solar panels, and reactor. Then storage, obviously you can go through here. We have ender cells and gates and things like that. Functional blocks, energizer, player, transmitter, so on and so forth. But this will show you what the different types of generators are and give you a little bit more in-depth detail on it. So the fernator, again, the starter one, which is really nice because you can jump through and see all of the different details for each tier. So it's very simple. It's a furnace generator. So you feed it any solid fuel like coal, wood, etc., and it will make power. So very much like our, I think it's our Stirling dynamos, right? Anywho, so that's the fernator. You can go back here. You can go to the magmator. So this is going to be, again, very similar to our magmatic dynamo. It'll take the temperatures from fluids like lava and it generates more, or generates power from it. So again, very similar. This makes on the starter one 15 FE per tick. If we go back here, the fernator, 15 FE per tick. We can jump to the solar panel. It's a little bit less. So I think it's, I don't know if this is going off of just one singular panel, but it shows that it's 5 FE per tick. And these obviously need to be in direct sunlight. So we might get into that a little bit later. You have your reactors, which you have to make a big reactor, multi-block reactor for. And the base one generates 133 FE per tick, which is not bad at all. But again, I'm looking for starter. And this is where I think is very interesting. It gets very interesting, I should say. And this is what I want to make. The thermo generator. It generates energy when placed on top of a block of a high temperature. So lava or a magma block. It does require a fluid coolant to run, like water. So pretty much you're taking heat and water to make steam, in a sense. It's kind of where you're going with this one. The starter one is 15 FE per tick, but as you move up more, I think this way, yep. Excuse me, it can make even more. So 70, 180, 400, 900, 2000, 4800. It gets pretty crazy. But you can see the crafting recipe here. Dielectric paste, basic tiny capacitor, dielectric casing, and then these thermo plates, which is what took me a little bit of time to get some stuff together on. We already have the book. We don't need that. So I had to actually go to the nether to get some blaze, because you do need blaze powder for this. Now blaze powder, there are different ways to make it. Let me just take a sip of coffee here. We're struggling. There we go. So you can actually just get blaze rods and turn them into blaze powder per normal, or you can utilize this potions master and you can take ender powder, coal powder, get a bit of mortar, gunpowder, and redstone powder, and you can craft up one of those. Now, it's not really like the most efficient way to do it, I'd say, especially because it takes a diamond to get the pestle. But if you are out of options or your early game, let's say you have a bunch of ender pearls too, it's a great way to go about it. Worst case scenario. But if you are grinding up blaze rods to get blaze powder, highly recommend you don't do it this way, because you're only going to get 2 from it like this. I recommend using some kind of crushing machine. Realistically, early on, you'll probably have a pulverizer, and that's what I used. It's a 1-to-3 ratio then with the blaze rod to blaze powder. You also can get a centrifuge separator, separator, and you can take magma cream and convert it into slime balls and blaze powder. So that's another way to do it, because you can get these from magma cubes in the nether. Now obviously this one is probably going to be your best bet, because it looks like you get 3 from it, but you also have a 25% chance to get an additional 3 maybe. I don't know if it's an additional 3 or an additional 1 of them. I'm not 100% sure, but that's pretty cool. But we don't have a crushing wheel going yet. Anywho, I'm getting sidetracked. So that is what I had to take some time and go do, because I didn't have any blaze powder. But now we are pretty much set here. So we are going to start off with the base one here. We do need another casing here, just like that. We are going to then need 3 of these bad boys, just like so. And as you can see, we only have 2 blaze powder left over. But this is going to get us our setup here. We do need more of those really quickly, and then let me just make sure I'm clicking the right one. Yep. And just like that, we have our thermo generator, which is awesome. Super excited to be able to use this. Another thing I do want to mention, I said that I was going to craft up another energy cube, well, or energy cell, I should say. I would recommend, if you are getting into it and you want to progress with upgrading them, don't start with the starter one, actually. I recommend, if you have the resources for it, jump to the basic one, because there is a crafting recipe for it where it just takes iron, basic capacitors, and dielectric casings like this. Otherwise, if you start with a normal starter one and you want to upgrade it, you have to make 2. You have to have another one along with the dielectric casing and then iron. I feel like this way is just so much easier if you're anticipating going that path anyway, because then as you get to hardened and so on and so forth, you have to jump into that recipe anyway, whether you can't just one-off craft that level. You do need the previous one ×2 in order to craft it. But that's beside the point. So we have this up and going, and what we can actually do is take some of these magma blocks. Now you can use lava, like it said, but considering we are in a forest and there's a lot of trees, gonna stray away from the lava for the time being. If it does, I have read that the magma block doesn't yield as much as, let's say, the lava would. And if that is the case, then we'll readjust and maybe we'll do that. But I really do want to try this out. I don't think a magma block will set a tree on fire, but I mean, I could be mistaken. I have been mistaken before. So let's take this out here for the time being. We're gonna place this down. I think it'll be okay. We'll keep an eye on it. And then we need our thermo generator. We're gonna plop that bad boy right here. And then obviously it does need some water as well, which is going to be one of the things that we kind of got to figure out here then. Because if we do need water, then we need a place for the water to sit. Now, I'm kind of curious, does it make more sense for us to off-put where we have our power generation, maybe push it back just a wee bit here and have this set up over here? So if we kind of maybe encase this like that, and maybe we'll push this back like this. You might notice that there, just ignore it. It's a little secret. But hopefully this really helps with our power problem. Yeah, because maybe it makes sense if we just did it over here. Would have like an infinite water source as well. And do that. And does it have to be, I don't think it has to be 3x3. But for my sanity, I like to put things like that. So do that. We'll do one of those. And then we should be pretty set. All we got to do is grab our bucket here. And fill out the rest of this area here, just like so. So we should have everything that we need. And I'm just going to take out some of this stuff. And just kind of fill it in. Like so. Cool. I think we're getting there. Let's take that out. We do need to put our lantern back down here because it is extremely dark right there. Okay, cool. So if we actually move shift gears here, we're going to place that there instead. Doesn't look like this is going to burn it down, which is good to know. We're not going to burn down our area here. But if we put this here, it should get that. And then we do need some piping. Now we already have our basic mechanical piping. I don't think that there is actually in this version a way to pipe liquids. So you would have to do it by hand, and I can show you real quick. If we take a bucket of water, we throw it in there. As you can see, it's got some water in here, and it's producing a decent amount of RF, which is awesome, or a decent amount of FE. You can transfer it over to RF, obviously. I think the next thing we need to do is reorganize a little bit here, because everything is kind of scattered and clustered and just not in a good way. And we really need a central spot for our energy cube to then be distributed out. And honestly, if we kind of like put it over here maybe, and then just had a line coming through to the center going around all of our machines, that probably would work the best. So let me get some stuff set up here, and then I'll bring you guys on back once we are in a better place. All right, guys, we are back, and I have spent a ton of time getting things together. So let me show you right here what we got. This is actually probably going to be our thumbnail for the episode, so let's get a nice little screenshot in here. But anyway, so we have our thermo generator up and going here. And then obviously we have a system to route water to it. Now this system does take power, so that's why we have a power source going over to it. But ultimately, as we expand these, we can utilize these cables as well. So it works, and this doesn't really use that much power. It's very low on the amount of power it uses to actually pull up water. But this is an electric pump from Mechanism. I can show you really quick the recipe. You do need these infused alloys, osmium, steel casing, pretty straightforward. And then finally, a bucket. So pretty easy to do. And then I have universal cables going all over the place for power, and then a basic mechanical pipe from Mechanism for the water transfer. Now, for whatever reason, this one actually transferred with no problem at all. It pumped all the water in perfectly fine. So I have no idea, but this is not going to be enough to power our whole system, unfortunately. I have taken off this water wheel from our system, from our electrical system, from our grid. I couldn't figure out a way to implement it in the way I wanted it to, but ultimately this is what we have set up for the time being. So I pushed back the walls a little bit, and we have our central hub of machines, repositioned our ore processing setup, put the metallurgic infuser here. We do have our another energy cell here. Now this is probably a little bit inefficient to have a massive energy cell down here to store power up, and then have one here as a relay, and then one all the way over here as a buffer as well. But unfortunately, as you can see, it's just not enough. Like, it's using 12 FE per tick over here, and we're only producing 12 FE per tick on the grid. If we look over here, it's only producing 12. Now, if you did have a lava under it, I think lava produces it at that 15 tick ratio, which, I mean, we could do, but I'm just worried about catching things on fire. We could probably move it if we really wanted to, but I'm not really concerned about it. So unfortunately, this is just not going to be enough to keep us going for the time. We are going to have to consider other options of things that we can get up and going, which might just ultimately be more of what we already have, because the problem that we're running into is with the Stirling dynamo, or with the furnace, furnator, I think it's what it's called, from POWAH. It takes resources to burn to actually produce the fuel, which we don't have those resources to burn, unfortunately. And then we jump to the lava one, and we would have to set up some kind of automated lava setup. So that's where we're running into problems. With this one, it doesn't really take much. So that's why I'm kind of pushing towards this line of just doing a thermo generators, because I feel like it would be really, really easy to do. And we could upgrade them. I mean, the upgraded one is actually not that bad, and it would give us 200 FE per tick, or max is 200 FE. It generates 70, it says there. Which the max extract, I don't know, can you put upgrades on this? Or maybe I'm a little bit confused. Let's reference the book here as to what these meanings are. Fluid block like lava required a coolant fluid like water to run. Okay. So, but like, are there things that can upgrade it? So there's batteries, wrench, charged snowball, player, binding card. What is a binding card? Links players, no. Batteries, I think these work, yeah. So, what's an ender gate then? Ender network, energy cell, you cannot upgrade the network from it. Ooh, okay, so this could actually be kind of cool. This can wirelessly transfer energy onto a grid. This actually might be what we look into next from POWAH, because this would be extremely cool to do. Now, unfortunately, we do need these from an energizer, so we would have to get a energizing thing up and going here. And it does take 50,000 FE. Holy smokes. Okay, so we're in tough spots here, guys. We're in very, very tough spots here. So what we might ultimately do is upgrade this to be different. Yeah, it doesn't look like you can put any upgrades in here, so I don't know what additionally it would be like that could make it run better. I know lava would bump it up, but it said like max you can do more, so I'm a little bit confused there. The other thing I do want to mention, so POWAH does have its own energy cables. I made a bunch of them. I don't have them on my inventory anymore. I made a bunch of them. I actually made a bunch of the second tier ones. So if we look here, here's the cablings here. So you have your base starter one, which only transfers 100 FE per tick, which is not bad, but it's not that great either. You can jump up to the basic one, which is 1.4K FE per tick, which is pretty good. And then the hardened one is 5K. It seems all pretty good, but realistically, the universal cables from Mechanism are way better. I mean, the basic one on its own transfers 3.2K FE per tick, which is a lot. I mean, it's almost close to getting to the hardened one, and it takes a fraction of the resources. I mean, the basic one is just steel and redstone. So I would highly recommend just doing the universal cables because they're way cheaper and way more efficient in the power movement. But yeah, I think unfortunately we are getting to a tough spot here. We are going to have to either upgrade these bad boys or make some more, or what we'll eventually get into is some better production of power overall in the grand scheme of things, which will be a little bit overkill, but that is for a different episode. But guys, with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed today's episode. There is a lot more to come, so definitely stay posted. If you aren't already subscribed, I highly recommend doing so and clicking that bell notification because it'll let you know every single time a new episode is posted here on the channel. If you do want to leave a comment down below, I'd love to hear what you have to say around the series or any thoughts in general. It'd be I try to read through them as much as I can. I do get notified on them, so I do stream over on Twitch. I believe I mentioned it earlier in the episode, so that link is in the description down below. So feel free to follow me over there to stay notified when we do go live. I also have a Discord that's linked down in the description as well if you want to join the community and hang out with me along with a bunch of other cool people, talk back and forth, and just have a grand old time. So guys, with that being said, I hope everyone is having a happy holiday season, or had a happy holiday season. You're probably seeing this in the new year, and I will catch you all in the next episode. Take it easy.